Yeah, I know.
You want me like
I'll be your coach. So, yeah. Just like
I can talk for a second on it anyway.
okay. Joe, you're going to be in charge of time.
Hey guys, I'm Morgan Coberly. I'm our Director of Education with volleyball here at Forts 1 North. Excited to have you guys here. This is the first of our online classes, so we have a schedule for the week, 1 to 3 every day. So make sure you're checking in. You can ask questions. We want it to be as interactive as possible. Some of that stuff we're just going to respond to you right away. Online, and if there's some particular that you want one of the coaches to ask or answer the question, then we're happy to do that. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about hand development for setting, okay? And one of the things I think I don't want players just kind of going, hey, this is a setting thing only. Setting is a skill, it's important. For every position, I always tell my players, hey, imagine that it's game point and you're a middle and it just happens that you're the one that's going to have to set the ball at that point. Like, you kind of need to know how you're going to set, right? So libero's hugely important with the amount of setter out that happens. So hand development's a really important part of it. Footwork, stuff like that takes a long time, but I think hand development is something that everybody can work on kind of immediately. So we'll have some demo of this in a little bit, but I want to kind of just talk through hand position in general. One of the things I think with hand development is volleyball has your hand position doesn't change a ton really from skill to skill. So like if I'm passing or I'm defending, I'm blocking, I'm hitting, I'm serving, or I'm setting, really my hand position is open, it's wide, it's ready to go. We don't change our hand position a ton in volleyball. So hand development is really, really important with it, and pretty easy to achieve if we can go from skill to skill and still have our hands really ready to go. Prepping is really important. Okay, so again, if I'm in a defensive mode as a setter or a libero, and I'm here, my hands are essentially already prepped, and I can get my hands into position very, very quickly, and there's not a lot of change that really needs to happen again from this ready position to the hand development stage, okay? Which of course is big hands, thumbs back, all right, to receive the ball. It's essentially a catching position. One of the things that I always see with setters, one of the issues that we'll kind of talk about, is a lot of times we differentiate the setting motion, what we kind of perceive as the setting motion, and the catching motion. And with that, you see a ton of coaches, you know what I'm talking about, players, you know what I'm talking about, but you'll have setters with their thumbs out a lot of times, and really that's like the person that is setting is kind of already thinking about, hey, the ball's out of my hands, what position do I want to be in? This is really easy to work on. Your parents can do this at home. This is all stuff you can do at home, by the way, which is really cool. That's what we're trying to do here with the online classes, is really just kind of a ball, a person, a wall. You have a parent or a sibling that could jump in and help you with this. Most of these drills are gonna be really easy to achieve. Today we're gonna try to show you some stuff that is really, really basic and some stuff at the end that's a little bit more advanced, okay? With me today, this is Stephanie. She's one of our setters for our 14 Under Armour team. And she'll be with us for this session and our next session. And so she's gonna kind of demo today. It'll just be me, her, and basically one ball, okay? So we're gonna head over to the wall here real quick. Steph, let's head over here. And let's take this, hold the ball, and let's face this way real quick, and hand position to set. So you can see, we look at our hands here, we want the thumbs directly on the bottom of the ball. Again, some of the issues that we're gonna start to see is when the thumbs start to come forward and the wrists get too flexed, okay? And we're gonna lose a lot of power this way, okay? The angles of the set can change, and when we see release here, that we're gonna see the thumbs at the same angle as the arms, and the fingers will typically be in a different position, which basically means your fingers aren't doing a lot for you, okay? If we receive again, and then we're gonna do it the right way. As we receive out, release, we want our fingers more in position or in alignment with the arms, okay? The thumbs can follow, that's fine, but we don't want our thumbs leading our fingers. And basically, she's gonna be in a high 10 position here, okay? So we should be able to set and, you know, give her a high 5 or give her a high 10, opposed to this. This is what we're trying to avoid this, but it's very, very common. So we're gonna start out with some wall setting here. We're not gonna do a ton of this, okay? This isn't really what the session's completely about, but this is a really good way. Just give me some baby sets here against the wall. This is a great way for the player to actually kind of evaluate their own hands, kind of assess what they're doing. And we could see, even from this position, stop it in your hands. Look how little of her palms are actually on the ball. Here, it's really just the pads of her fingers, and if you can get in there, which might be really hard to see, but really her fingers aren't even a ton on the ball. It's a lot of just the pads of her fingers here. We want to keep the ball as high as possible because at that point you can utilize your fingers. If the ball gets really low, let's just face the camera here. If the ball gets really low in your palms, okay, it takes longer, it's two things. It takes longer to get the ball out of your hands, okay, but also you're gonna have to push from the lowest point. If she pushes from the highest point and the ball's low, the ball's just gonna go down, right? So she's gotta keep this ball higher in her hands, higher in her fingers, so that her fingers can actually do the pushing. Let's see it against the wall again. Okay, so this is really easy. She can set to herself, she can kind of see what her hands are doing. We're gonna back out here just a little bit. And this is good for evaluation, again, of the player themselves, to kind of back out a little bit more to see if, hey, does my hand position change a little bit? All right? You can see if footwork might come into play here a little bit more. She might have to move a little bit to achieve the same hand position. As you can see, the ball's getting a little bit outside of her body here. She's having to move around a lot. You can move your feet and stuff. It's fine. And we're gonna do one more little drill here. So hold up. So this is easy. If you could just be, you know, your garage or walls in your house, outside your house. We're just gonna call this drill 3-6-9, and it's a good way to kind of look at your hand position to be able to see the angle of the set. Okay, so she's gonna set basically 3 feet above her head, 6 feet above her head, and 9 feet above her head. All right, and what we don't want to see is we don't want to see like a ton of change in her hand. We want her to kind of achieve the angle of the set in a really consistent hand position. So she's not going to change a ton here. Okay, so let's see this. Good. Towards me. We can see on some of these, hold up, can see on some of these where she's trying to set higher, also we're seeing this change with her thumbs. And we really don't want that to be the case. If we want a higher set, because everybody's gonna be setting at different levels. Some teams are gonna set really fast, some teams are gonna set high and slow, and that's fine. That's really the level of the team you're playing on, or what kind of system you're using. But we don't want the setter to make really changes too much with the hand positioning. Okay, if they want it higher, we want the fingers to go higher. Generally, like 90 degrees is a good angle with your hands. It kind of allows you to kind of achieve different tempos when you're setting. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple more drills here. That's all we're gonna do with the wall. And one of it is just adding some movement. No, you're gonna take it. And all I want you to do is sets to the wall, forward, come back. So now she's incorporating some movement with her hand development. She still gets to look at it. She's still watching her hands. The shorter set's easier to see the hand development. This is great. If this is hard, even this is hard, and then go to the net forward, come back backwards. So we're increasing difficulty. If this is hard for you, you can add sets. You can set to yourself, then go take a couple sets, set to yourself, and then come back. She's just using constant movement here. Most people can do this, but you want to be able to be really critical. Shuffle. You want to be critical of, again, of your thumbs. You can see her thumbs are staying pretty consistently on the bottom of the ball, right? Not letting it kind of get out to the front of the ball. Okay, good. Okay, so we're going to do some groundwork here with the ball, so up downs. So we're going to do 3 stages of this, and the first stage is really easy, okay? Or kind of easy. It's hard to go down the ground. And she's just going to do 10 sets on the ground. So as she's changing position, body position, her hands are slightly changing. But one of the things I want you to notice here is that her thumbs aren't changing. So even when she goes down and she's on her back, she's not protruding the thumbs out forward. Her hand position is basically staying the same. So these are little really easy drills to do at home for all you guys. So let's go second stage here. So she's going down, she's getting back up. Hand position's the same. You can see it's still on the bottom of the ball. Now she's going to do crunches. So we're having some movement here. Putting her knees up and her hips up here. And then she's going to do the last stage. This is more advanced. This is tougher. Where she's going to set between her legs. Okay, but notice still the thumb position. Notice that her hands are big. She's not letting the ball get deep in her hands. You can start with a catch in between. Steph, can you do that? Just catch, but don't change your hand position. So do it again. Yeah, it will look like that. But. Okay, so that's an easier way to do it as you're getting comfortable with it. Good, and then back up. Okay, now we're going to go along the net. Again, don't have a net, which if you're at home isn't likely. Maybe you do, but it could be a wall, it could be anything. Okay, so set your setting position here. So now we're going to incorporate the distance a little bit, which again can kind of change the hand position potentially. So all I want her to do is catch first and then release. So she's going to make sure that her reception is good, right? So I think the reception of the ball and the release of the ball should be pretty similar, right? So she's going to catch first. Is my reception good? And then she's going to release. Okay? Catch first, and then release. Just do a couple of these. Okay? And put the ball higher a little bit here so you can see that the hand position, the fingers are kind of going to dictate the height of the ball, but we don't need to change our hand position. Here we go. Really simple. Good, and guys, when I'm saying simple, I think that's really important. A lot of times, most volleyball skills are better when they're at their simplest, right? Most of the time we mess up in a certain skill, it's usually because we're kind of moving too much, we're doing too much instead of doing too little. Especially with our soft skills. When we talk about soft skills, we're talking about our controlled skills. So, passing is a soft skill, defense is a soft skill, setting is the softest of the skills because it's coming from another controlled ball, so it should be our most controlled ball. Hitting obviously that's a hard skill. Serving's a hard skill. Blocking is a hard skill. Those are more dynamic skills. But even in those cases, it's they're very simple, right? So setting is best when it's really simple, and a lot of time we get ourselves into trouble when we're trying to do too much. All right, I'm trying to push it really far out, and I kind of cut my hands down through the ball, and maybe the ball gets flat because I'm trying too hard to push here. Maybe it's I need more power, and so the ball goes really deep into my hands. I'm trying to get it out, and really, as soon as the ball gets deeper into my hands, I'm actually losing a lot of power because it's taking longer to get the ball out of my hands. Okay, so now we're going to go kind of the same progression here, but she's just gonna set now. So I'm just gonna catch, toss, and set. And she's maintaining the structure of her hands. Structure is a term I use of just like, hey, it's not stiff, we're not poking at the ball, but you want to maintain the shape of your hands in the reception and the release of the ball. I don't want my release or my reception to be way different than my release. Like that's happening, you're gonna have a lot of inconsistencies with not just the reception, but obviously the release of the ball. So kind of watch as she's maintaining the structure of her hands, which should be ball shaped. It's not just completely flat. She does a lot of angle changes with her thumbs or her fingers. She's doing a good job here. And again, we're not incorporating footwork yet, right? She's obviously gonna have to move around as a setter, or liberos, if you guys are in setter out situations, you're moving around a ton. You're out of system all the time, right? You're almost never getting just like a really easy, clean ball. But if this skill is done right, you're gonna have a lot more control with it. You see some of the best liberos in the world. They're always trying to use their hands. I see a lot of liberos that don't want to take much risk, and it's a lot of bump setting. You have to kind of, obviously, as a libero, there's some points where you have to bump set, right, if you're inside the 10-foot line. But I'd encourage you guys in practice or just at home right now is like work with your hands, make it a skill. That's a tool for you, just as a volleyball player, not even as a setter. If you're a setter, you need to be getting as many reps, especially right now, as possible. Try to get 500 sets a day. Make that a goal, like minimum, where you're setting against the wall or to yourself or to a parent, sibling, whatever. Just get the touches every single chance you have, and that might take an hour, might take 2 hours, but get as many touches as you can. All right, I want to go to some more advanced stuff. So we're gonna do set and sprawl, set and back roll. Good with that? Okay, so I don't know how much area you're gonna have at your house to do this, but this is a chance to kind of work on the structure of your hands and work on some agility as we're doing this also. Okay, so Steph's gonna start out, we're gonna do a basic one of it. Set to yourself, set high, sprawl. So let's just look at this and we'll kind of talk about it. Again, her hand position shouldn't change. She's got to prep really quick here. Okay, hold on. Good, easy. Well, let's try a couple a little bit more advanced now. Again, I'm not exactly sure where you would do this at home, but you might have a space where you feel like you can do this. If it's a harder surface and you can't sprawl, you could just go down and kind of be in like a burpee position, down, up. The idea here is that you're able to track really quickly. I think that has a ton to do with your hand development. There's a lot of agility skills that we have to do in volleyball all the time, and we still have to be ready to do the next job that we're doing, in this case setting. So now we're gonna do a little bit more advanced version of this, where she's not gonna set to herself. She's just gonna set, down, back up, has to track the ball, her hands have to be developed, and she's gotta go, okay? her a little breath here, and then we'll go to the next one, which is even a little tougher. Is that back roll? Okay, we haven't done this in a while. All right, so now what she's gonna do is she's gonna go back to set to herself. Okay, set, which you control the height on the first one, so you're giving yourself time here, okay? Set the first one, set the second one high. Her goal is to set right on top of herself. She's gonna back roll out of it, back to her feet. If you're not good at back rolling, don't roll over your neck, try to roll over your shoulder, flop if you need to. It's just about making an agility move, in this case something backwards where the ball is gonna land in front of you. So let's see how she does with this. Controlling the first one. Good. Good stuff. All right, good. Okay, and then we wanted to go more advanced here. We could go more advanced, and she could just do the single set. Again, I would just really encourage you guys to just do the small parts first. Wall setting, it's not a lot of fun, okay? And later in the week, we'll do progressions of wall setting where you can kind of see some kind of challenging things for you guys to be able to do against the wall. That makes it a little bit more fun. It can be boring, but it's really quick reps, and it's really an easy way for you to look at your own hands and your hand development, and not just once I set, I'm just solely focused on the set, and I'm not really focused on how I set the ball, okay? So I think any little things against the wall, partner sets, anything like that is really great to achieve the best hand development that you can. Always be ready. Always think about, I kind of call it my setting hands, but even when you're not actually in practice, we're walking around, whatever, just kind of think about hey, my hands are developed, I'm ready to set. And that's a lot of it, because we don't want to be in a game and all of a sudden I have to have this big process to develop my hands, because a lot of plays are really, really quick. It might be a fast pass or a fast dig, or the setter's blocking, comes off the net, and boom, the ball's right there. And again, it's non-setters that might have to do this. So remember that the skills are kind of linked in your hand position, and it should be very easy for us to, if we think that way, to have the hands developed at all times, so we can quickly get our hands up and focus on the set. So we don't always have to focus on, okay, how am I setting? Okay, that is session 1. We're gonna take a real quick break, and then we're gonna come back. It'll be Stephanie and I again, and we're gonna talk more. We're gonna talk about hitting, so we're moving on to a different skill, and we're just gonna break down the very end of that skill, which is gonna be just your hand-to-ball contact and your snap, and we'll give you some kind of fun little drills that we can do. Okay, so we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with you. All right, thanks.